Thank you, Sarah, for a nice introduction. I had a terrific time working with Sarah as she was developing her book. It was very interesting to me to take the things I had been working on, thinking about Edison as an historical figure, and thinking about how they apply to today's world. And I think they do apply in a lot of ways. So that's one of the reasons that the Edison Papers is involved in this. We think it's important to promote innovation, to promote the education of young innovators, school kids, and that's one of the things that we're very interested in. So that's why the Edison Papers became involved in the Edison Awards, besides my close association with Sarah. Before I talk a little bit about the Edison Awards, I do want to thank one other person, and that's Rachel Weisenberger, member of my staff who was essential in our side of the work on the Edison Awards. So I very much want to thank Rachel for her participation. The Edison Papers is a research institute at Rutgers University. It was founded 30 years ago to go through Edison's papers. You say, 30 years? That seems like an awful long time to be just working on one person. But we weren't just working on one person and haven't been working on one person. There are 5 million pages of documents at the Edison National Historic Site in West Orange, and thousands of documents in repositories elsewhere in the world, because Edison was always more than just an individual. Just as all of you are parts of teams, Edison was the first to really develop team research. And so the Edison Papers, as a team of scholars, spends its days going through his papers, his laboratory notebooks, his business records, his personal papers, trying to understand what it is he did, and then to communicate that to a much larger audience. And we try to do that for not just scholars, but for the general public and for school children as well. If you have a chance, when you go out the door, if you turn to your left, you'll see the Edison Papers table. You can see our book edition. We'll eventually have 15 volumes to cover this man's career, but there are many thousands of documents that are not included in that, but they are online. And so we're in the process, actually, of developing a robust digital edition that includes Edison's notebooks, papers, and so forth. Edison is an important figure for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, he's the person that transformed invention into modern innovation. You've already heard Sarah talk about the Research and Development Laboratory at Menlo Park, and then his later, much grander laboratory in West Orange, New Jersey. But Edison was more than just an inventor. He was also somebody who recognized that invention required a commercial mindset, understanding the markets that one was entering, and then taking the technology out of the laboratory into the marketplace. And Edison was very good at this. His most famous invention, the electric light, Sarah mentioned that he invented the lamp in 1879. He spent the next year doing the development work at the laboratory, including building a small-scale central station at the lab to figure all the components out. And then he spent 2 years installing the first central station in New York City. But in order to do that, he also had to invest his own money in the manufacturing plants, because the investors in the Edison Electric Light Company were happy to hold on to the patents and have the world beat a path to their door. And Edison recognized that it doesn't work that way. So he set up the manufacturing plants, and they were important for a couple of reasons, not just to make sure that the technology that went out the door worked, but more importantly, to figure out when things didn't work quite right, what we needed to do to improve it. And so in the 2 years that Edison worked on the R&D, he took out fewer patents than he did in each of the 3 subsequent years when he was commercializing that technology, and most of that work was done in the manufacturing plants. It wasn't done in the laboratory. So you can see the role that innovation played in Edison's development of the electric light was to think about it as a commercial process, not just as something that took place in the laboratory. He excelled at commercializing new technology because he was always paying attention to markets. And we see this constantly, Edison calculating out what the economics of the system are as he's developing it. Edison, besides thinking about the economics, also thought about something that a lot of other people in this room have thought about through the years: branding, marketing, right? The Edison brand was the Apple, the Google of its day. You knew you got high quality, new technology branded with the Edison name. And so this was really important to the whole process that Edison developed, this commercial process of innovation. Just to give you a brief overview again of his career in telecommunications. He didn't invent the stock ticker, but he's the one that made it work properly on the system. He invented a system for sending 4 messages at the same time for Western Union to reduce their cost in building wires. Sarah mentioned the mimeograph, which came out of Edison's electric pen, a device that had a little motor. You wrote with it, a needle punched up and down, created a stencil. Simple process, but complicated to produce commercially. The phonograph, which evolved out of Edison's work on telephone technology, and yet became the foundation for an entire new industry, the sound recording industry. And Edison's telephone transmitter actually made the Bell telephone viable, the electric light system. Edison failed. He had a process for mining low-grade iron ore. It failed, but he adapted that technology to cement technology. The original Yankee Stadium was built with Edison Portland cement. So Edison understood that failure was opportunity, and in all of his work, so the storage battery that Sarah talked about him developing, there were 10,000 experiments. And after about 9,000, one of his assistants came up and said, you know, we're not getting anywhere. There are all these experiments we've done. And Edison said, what do you mean? We now know 9,000 ways it won't work, right? What he was always doing was trying to figure out how to learn from what seemed to be a failure to other people was a learning experience for Edison. And this is a valuable lesson that I think we can all take with us. So ultimately, you know, the Edison Awards are celebrating innovation, the development of new technologies, new ways of doing things that make all of our lives better. And this was Edison's legacy to all of us, a way of thinking about how to move forward and to inspire innovation, both amongst the people he was working with and also in the country at large. Edison became the symbol of innovation in American society. And I hope the Edison Awards and the Edison Papers' participation in that can help to make innovation something that people celebrate and aspire to as well. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, Louis Foreman. And he'll feel right at home up here on the stage, introducing the finalists for Media and Visual Communications. Louis is the creator, executive producer, and lead judge of the Emmy Award-winning show, the national PBS reality show, Everyday Edisons, which is now in its 3rd season. Through a series of casting calls held across the country, Everyday Edison identifies individuals who have breakthrough invention ideas and assists them in achieving commercial success. Louis himself is an inventor. He's received 9 US patents. An entrepreneur passionate in his desire to educate others about intellectual property. He's also the publisher of the magazine you all have at the table, the Inventor's Digest, and the founder of Inventis, a consulting organization which provides research, design, and marketing services to inventors, as well as companies seeking to optimize their products for improved sales performance. Among the presenters that are here today, I believe that Louis gets the Long Distance Award for traveling the longest way from his home in North Carolina. So please welcome Mr. Louis Friedman to the stage.